All right. Hello, surround sound. At this point, you have already read through the worksheet on cassettes. You watched the video about kids reacting to cassettes before today. You watched a very short video and another one about the development of cassettes. So you're going to have two videos, one from me today sort of showing you how it works, and then another one we're going to sort of talk through your homework assignment, all right? Let me see if I can have the camera get a better angle for my desk here. Okay, so what we have is our cassette player. I have two different cassette players, and then I have a number of cassettes, okay? So what we were looking at before, this is how you used to store them. This is actually mine. These are a bunch of cassettes that I have I grabbed from my mom. Oh, here's one that I made. Okay, so when you have this cassette box, the way you open it, and this is a little bit confusing sometimes, is you have to, right, see how there's like a little slot for it to slide into. So you have to pull the lip of it down. Okay, hopefully you'll get a chance to do this. Now these cassettes, you can see this one says CVS on it. I don't think it's in the right box. Well, maybe it's in the right box. These are all recordable cassettes that I bought. Here's one from my mom that came as some church thing that she had. Oh, this is from my sister's college. Anyway, so like if it came with its own sleeve, you know, it doesn't say CVS or record on there, although you could record over this. Usually, somebody talked about pictures. Usually there's these sleeves, and inside, I know it's blurry, but like you can follow along with the words. And our records actually had that too. Let me pull up the record. Sometimes with these records, the 45s don't have any sleeves, but there would be like this extra paper. These aren't ones with words, but you know, you might have the words on there now. Now you have to like look them up online. Okay, so it has these extra papers in there, and which was always really nice, and there's always like pictures of the artists and stuff, so you could have special art going on your cassettes. And like the little kid said in that video, how many cassettes would you have to have if you want to have everybody's album? Also, can we just talk about, or at least think about this idea of album? So with the records, like here is a Beatles record, right? And it has the song Revolution, and it has the song Hey Jude. That's the only song on here, but then there's a whole Beatles album, and the Beatles album has 5 songs on one side, 5 songs on the other. So now we have our cassettes, and things are changing, but artists are still making albums, okay? So the cassette player, this is actually a cassette player. This was my mom's. I saw it and I was like, Mom, can I borrow this? So here's the cassette. Now, when you're looking at a cassette, there's a couple things I want you to notice. There's this ribbon, and I'm actually going to pull it out. Okay, so you have this ribbon in here, and you are reading about magnetic tape. This ribbon here is the magnetic tape. Okay, and if you look, you can see that it's wound, and there's a lot on this side and just a very bit of a little bit on that side. This is someone's version of Bruce Springsteen, but can you, I mean, look at the difference, right? Is this, which one was bought at the store, right? The one with the handwriting and the paper and the TDK, that's the one that like they made on their own. All right, so you can pull this out. Actually, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's a little bit crinkly. It's like it's been folded. So one of the things that you can do if you have to wind it back up is you just put a pencil in and you can spin them. Now, the way that this tape is in here, it's wound all the way around this reel. So imagine a reel-to-reel. This is a mini reel-to-reel. Here's one reel and here's the other. So it's wound this way, and then the tape comes down, it goes across the bottom, and then it gets wound around this wheel. So when one wheel spins, the other wheel spins. Can you see that spinning? I'm spinning one direction and the other is also spinning. And when I do this spinning, this tape is moving. Now you can't really tell. You can, there you go, you can see that it's moving. Okay, so what happens is when you put it inside the tape player, these wheels are going to spin, and then you have, it's hard to see it, but you have all these mechanisms here, and what they're doing is it's like this magnetic thing, and it's reading the tape. So on the tape is sort of encrypted the songs. Okay, so you've got this music that's encrypted on one side, and because it's magnets, it's sort of polarized in one direction. And what you can do is you literally will take the tape, and just like a record, you're going to flip it over. And when you flip it over, it's going to spin it in the other direction, and so then there's other music on it. So this is, I think this might have been a tape from Miss Whitman Heard. It's got the Pretenders on one side, and it has Bruce Springsteen on this side. So let's see, I don't know which one's going to play. So we put the tape into the tape player, and you want to make sure that the tape itself is facing the wheels, right? There's nothing up here. This is just plastic. So if I put the tape in this direction, first of all, it doesn't fit. And secondly, it's not going to play anything. So here we go. Let's put the tape in, and I don't have to close the lid. I've got the play button. Okay, I have a volume on the side over here. I can press stop. Now if I want to go, I'm going to flip it over, and now it's going to spin the wheels the other way. I press play. Maybe we're in between songs. So now you can do something called fast forward, and you're literally going to make the wheels spin faster going that same direction. See, they're spinning faster. Now I press play, and it seems as though perhaps there isn't a lot on here. Now, here's something, the word rewind. This is where it comes from. It's going to take the tape, and you can rewind quickly, and it's going to wind it from the one side, and it's going to rewind it on this side. Okay, so if I put my cassette in and I press rewind, it's going much faster in the other direction. So it's going backwards. And what I'm trying to do for you here is I'm trying to make it so that you can find a song. So if you can't find a song, you literally have to rewind. Okay, so that's what we're aiming to do. Now, while that's rewinding, and I'm going to show you in a second what's happening, I have a smaller portable version of our cassette player. I actually have another cassette player, and I'm going to show you. So hold on. Okay, so I have another one here, but before we get there, this has been rewinding a bit. So now I just want you to take a look. Can you see here that the tape now, it's much thicker on this side, because I've been winding the magnetic tape around. So let's see if it will play anything. Let's see if we found a song. So we did, because we rewound. So what happened was we had gotten so far into the tape that there just wasn't any music left at the end. Okay. Let me show you this tape player. This is what we would call a boom box. And this is a fancy boom box because it has a CD player at the top. I got this when I was in high school. It has a tape player in the front of it. And it has all the same buttons. Okay, so these are the buttons for the tape deck. It has the pause, stop, and eject. Now the reason, no way, it was totally broken. That's fascinating. Well, look at that. Somehow that worked. Fast forward, rewind, play, and this is a new button that we never saw on our record player. We have a record button. What I have here, I have no idea if this is going to work. Okay, see how the tape is all loose? Now let me spin it one way, it just makes it looser. Spin it the other and it's tightening it up, and now you can see the other wheel starting to spin, and you're going to see that when I had it here, all this clear tape, and you're going to see the dark tape as I spin it start to pull across the bottom as I'm playing. Now this is considered a blank tape. I literally bought this on Amazon last year, and what I was trying to do was put it inside the tape deck. The boom box, sorry, this is a boom box. This is like a 90s fancy schmaltzy curvy boom box. Boom boxes in the 80s were square. You put it in, and I think my play button got stuck. But what I was trying to do was record. So I'll get there, but anyway, so this is what a boom box is. This is a personal cassette player. Notice how it has a speaker right here. Notice how my boom box also has speakers on it, because how else are you going to hear the music? Okay. At the top of my boom box over on the side, I have a headphone jack, and I have now power, tape, radio, and CD. So I can do the different functions. And then this is going to be my radio function. So and we're going to talk about radios next class. But if I want the radio, I've got an antenna here for the radio. Now, I don't have a Walkman from back then, but I do have, I bought this one. This is a newer version of a Walkman. And so it doesn't have a radio function, but a lot of Walkmans did. So as you can see, it's basically, as you can see, they basically took this part of the cassette. They took the speaker off. They took this part of the cassette player, made the button smaller, and this was the size of a Walkman, and it's here. Okay, it might have been a little thicker than this. Now, it's my phone. It's an iPhone, so you can see it's approximately this. You know, so it's in some ways it's smaller because it's shorter, but it's thicker than the iPhone. And a Walkman has a headphone jack. Now, if I don't have my headphones in, I can press play. You can see it's playing, but you can't hear anything. Okay, so I put my headphones in, and these obviously are modern headphones because these are earbuds. We didn't have earbuds back then. So I put my headphones in, and now I press play, and it's playing the music. It's really nice, and I have a volume setting on here. I can make it loud and soft, right? And so you can imagine that if you wanted to listen to music with your friends, you might use a boombox, really portable. And if you, now the plug for this boombox is over there, but you can see on the back here, I can open this up, and it's got a spot for batteries. So you could put batteries in your boombox and take it to the beach, or take it to the park, or take it wherever, okay? So boomboxes were really nice, and people could hear the music. Now, if your batteries died, it's crazy. Also, that's a little bit heavy. You could even play it in the car, because back then there was no way to power things in the car. But you can imagine going running, why this would be so great, right? With a record player, you can't run. I'm going to show you a video of people running with records. You can't do it. But with the cassettes, right? Or actually, I think you already saw the video with them running with the record. But with a cassette, you can run. So this is really interesting. In that it's totally revolutionized, right? Cassette players, you could have this in your car. Now, what had happened last year, and I thought I was going to show you, is that the cassettes could get stuck. Somehow, I don't know how or why, for the cassettes, you could put them in and the tape gets jammed or wound up. And then if for some reason this tape comes out, I mean, you could pull this all the way out. I had one time, my friend and I don't know why we did this. We took a cassette tape and we literally pulled all this out, and then we like strung it all around this tree. But then we didn't have the cassette anymore, so I don't know why we did it. But if this gets stuck, like this is a common problem from the 80s. is that you have this cassette, and see how it's already started to curl. So then when I put it back in, all of a sudden it's not going to go in straight. So, and this tears and it gets crinkly, and it, you know, so it's certainly not the best way to store music, but it is, there are obvious improvements to this storage process than records, right? I mean, records could get scratched. This is in a plastic protective casing. So then I can put my cassette. This is a classical music one. You just pop it back into its cassette holder, and you can put it back into the, I don't know where the else came from. Put it back into the box, okay? So there is that. I'll be right back. All right, so we're back. I know, that was just a brief second for you, but I wanted to now show you about these recording features, okay? So we have our, nope, there we go. We have our different recording devices here, and I want to show you about the features. So I have them both plugged in. This one is on the tape setting, okay, and I have my tape in here. So I put it in, and you can't record on this white part. So I'm gonna let it go. See, the wheels are spinning. I'm gonna let it go just for a second. Now we have the record button here, and this is the microphone. On this one, I don't believe there's a microphone, but a lot of tape decks and a lot of boom boxes came with microphones. So let's hit the record and the play button together, and then you can record into it. Hello, hello, hello. We are practicing recording here on our cassette. Then I press stop. I can rewind, and it is slowly rewinding. I press stop, and now together, and then you can record into it. Hello, hello, hello. We are practicing recording here on our cassette. Then I press stop. Okay, so you can see that I just recorded, right? We watched that happen in real time. Now let's take this out, and I want to show, so you could make your own recordings. This was like the first time that someone could make a recording. They could write a song, and then they could play it. They could say, hey, look what I made, or I did this for you, right? I mean, as we saw in the video, there were other ways, other sound recordings and that type of thing, but they were wired. So like having this in the hands of just anyone was a big deal. And I also want you to think about the other uses besides music. How might this kind of thing be used? For example, you're a journalist, right? Just like we heard the journalist talk on Tuesday. And you want to have an interview, and you want to just go, and you see this in movies, and they press record, and then everything's recorded. I mean, it's really life-changing in so many ways to have this. All right, so let's go back down to our devices here, and we are going to take this tape out. We're going to put this in. Now this one goes in the other direction, right? Do you notice how I have the tape facing up here? And that's because all of the mechanics are here. Down here, there's nothing down there. So I'll let you look in and see. There's nothing in there, but you can see that all of the mechanics are there. So I put my tape in. Let's see if it will play. There's a good chance this won't work, but what I'll tell you what I'm trying to do. If I turn this to the radio, sorry, that was really loud. Totally scared me. Okay. Whew. I get my antenna up here, get that all the way up and going. Now I'm going to tune this, and what's moving is this blue thing. Okay, so I move this, you can see it moves the blue thing. Ooh. Look at that. I could get a new roof. Don't make a mistake. Okay, so there's a radio station. And so now we have our cassette in here. And so let's rewind a little bit and play. Because we want to make sure that we're not going to record over what we did. Okay, now there's a possibility here that I'm on the wrong side. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to try it again. Now I have no idea. So now I've got to figure out how to get to, I mean, this is exactly what you do with cassettes. Aha, that rewound all the way. So let's try it. Oh,
Together, and then you can record into it. Hello, hello, hello. We are practicing recording here on our cassette. Then I press stop.
okay. Now, if you noticed when I played it in this tape recorder, it was really staticky, but the whole thing was staticky. When I played it in this tape recorder, it was staticky until I got and I pressed stop, and then it was not so staticky. So obviously this is an upgrade. These are probably about 30 years apart in age. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to turn it, don't scare myself then, turn it to the radio.
Tuition for some great Christian schools.
Okay, let's see. Let's listen to some country. Okay, now I press record and play at the same time. All right. Press stop, turn the radio off. Let's rewind a little bit. Rewind means I'm going to take the tape to go back so that I can listen to that part of the tape that I just did. So rewind. This rewinds much faster. Did it work? Let's see. Let's rewind a little more. Oh, problem is it's not actually rewinding. And I don't know why it's not rewinding, although the fact that this is a very, very old tape player. So if it's not rewinding like I want it to, then I can make it rewind. Ah, the tape is funny. Let's see, it's getting a little stuck here. So let's just get this rewind on. And you can hear my little intro.
We are practicing recording here on our cassette. And I press stop.
Hey, it worked! That's great. But only as far as we're going to press record, right? And then it stops. So I want you to think for a second now. What could people do? Music plays on the radio, and this, I mean, this happened all the time. Music would play on the radio, and you're like, I love this song, and you don't want to go out and buy the cassette because you know you don't have the money for it. So, so you make a mixtape. You just wait by the radio. I'm not kidding. You wait by the radio until the song comes on, and you really hope that the DJ isn't talking in the first part of the song, and then you press record, and then you wait till the song is done, and then you press stop. And then maybe you're gonna have a little like pause in between, and then you can get the next song. So I don't know how much of you guys listen to the radio now, but back in the day when we would do this, one of the things that was really, really important for us to pay attention to, because you have to know when your songs are going to be on and you don't always know, is that radio stations would have this thing called the High Five at 9. Well, I guess that was the one near my house. But they would have like, let's play the topmost 5 popular songs right at 9 o'clock. They start at 5 and they play the 5th most popular song, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, and then the 1st. And so you could count on, if it's like a really popular song, you could count on it being on radio somewhere between 9 and 9:30 at night. And so then you could get it here. So now there's something else that you this boombox is not like a very big boombox, but a lot of boomboxes had 2 different slots, and then they had their speakers with all the buttons in the middle where you could put your cassettes, and you could put a blank cassette on one side, put your cassette on the other side. Like for instance, let's say I'm gonna borrow your Taylor Swift cassette, put yours in, put my blank one in, and then I press play on this side and record on this side, and it will literally record it like it's recording off the radio, and it will record. And now, and this is why all those cassettes in that box that I have like handwritten because you just copy the cassette. Nobody thought twice about it. There weren't like questions about copyright things. It was just like a thing that you could do. You want the thing, and this you just go buy a blank one and then you copy it. And that was like, no one talked about copyright stuff back then, at least in the world that I lived in. I just don't remember it. Because you had to do all of that work, and then you had a bootleg copy and you could handwrite it out, right? But you're not gonna like go, you can't just blast it out to everyone. It's not like everyone gets it at once. You could get it off the radio, or maybe you could copy your friends. So it certainly was limited, greatly limited in scope, but it's so different than the records, right? Okay, there you go. So that is our demo with cassettes and recordings.